Hello there. It is me, your host, the Uber Mormon, playing on Nietzsche's Ubermensch, absorbing all the good stuff from Mormonism, playing around with it, moving beyond it. If you're welcome to the channel, new to you. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. It feels a little bit different for me anyways. I am reacting to an episode, not a full episode, but I'm reacting to a recent episode of Kill Tony where a Mormon got pulled out of the bucket. This is fun for me to watch for obvious reasons. And I wanted to watch it with you, and I wanted to give some commentary. So here we go. We'll just do this right now. We do this.
Look at that. It's a shame she doesn't want to fucking kill a gay tonight. I don't know. Nothing's making any sense right now. This looks like a new name. Make some noise for Henry J, everybody. Henry J. One more time for Henry J, everyone.
I can tell my phone was made in China because the default skin color on my emojis is yellow. If Johnny Depp has a one-night stand and then the next morning gets an Amber Alert on his phone, does he panic and check his bed for any surprises?
Amber Alert.
I think he does.
I get it.
Is the utensil of choice for non-binary people spork?
I saw that one coming.
I think they eat exclusively with that when they eat brunch. Let's see.
When they eat brunch, that's okay. I've been in plenty of Mormon sacrament meetings where jokes are being made to kind of, I don't know, you're in front of people, you feel awkward, and you let a little joke fly. They're usually when they eat brunch, like that's the tag. It's not a great tag, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is that that cadence is very familiar to me. It's a very Mormon delivery. Those of you who have been Mormon, you know what I'm talking about.
If a plane makes a successful water landing, do the black passengers panic harder after the landing? If a guy
that yeehaw for no reason.
Goes on a Tinder date with a girl that ends up not being a girl, did he get catfished or swordfished?
Swordfish is good.
Thank you.
All right,
Swordfish
Henry J. Without a doubt, his first time on the show. Ron White.
Those were riddles. You should do jokes because you have you got a good face for stand-up comedy. You look like you, but
a good face for stand-up comedy. I think that's a compliment.
But those are riddles. That's what those are. Those are just
It's true. You're more of a riddler than a joker. Does every bit of your material end in a question mark?
I just thought it was a unique style, where the question and the setup and the punchline all built into one question.
Yeah. How many of those do you have? How long you been doing stand-up?
About 2 years.
2 years. All of it in Austin?
In Utah.
Salt Lake City?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And that's your style. You're is it exclusively just questions? Do you have any other material?
I have a lot of other stuff.
Can you do one joke that isn't a question?
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, doing a joke that isn't a question. Henry J.
Such an absurd introduction. Doing a joke that isn't a question. Ladies and gentlemen, no further ado. Henry J. Joke that's not a question. Here we go. No question mark at the end of this joke. It is just a regular joke. Here we go. By Henry J.
I was studying abroad, and she got creeped out and just.
Okay.
That joke slaps,
Yeah. Okay. That is not a question. Still a little Ridley. Slightly Ridley. There's still some thinking you have to do, and then you go, ha ha! Ha ha! I bet you get a lot of those in the Henry J fan club. A lot of you're gonna love this guy. Are you sober? Because you gotta be sober for him. You have to pay close attention and put your thinking hat on for the wild comedy styles of Henry J.
Everyone in Utah is sober. So.
Not true.
Well, not everyone. I did an arena in Salt Lake City on Saturday night, and nobody was sober. We have different crowds, Henry J.
This is true.
Those people in Salt Lake City fucking party. For those of you that don't know, it is one of the top 5 cities in the United States of America. Shout out Salt Lake City.
Shake that bad, bitch.
I mean, okay, yeah, Red Band, I agree. I don't know. I know what he means. I know what those words mean. I have no idea what "shake that bad bitch" in response to Utah's one of the top 5 cities. But yeah, go with it.
I have no idea what that means in this context. Wait until we're talking about mashed potatoes or bacon before you speak up again. Henry J., what do you do for work?
I'm a finished carpenter.
What does that mean exactly?
So I install doors and do like a bunch of custom woodwork in people's homes. And
okay.
anything woodwork related in people's homes.
Oh, all right. Okay. And you just finish. You never start.
I just ask. I struggle closing sales because I never actually,
Mormon people, ex-Mormon people, we know this guy, right? We've all seen this guy at like a family party or like a ward thing. Like, we know this guy, right? He reads so familiar to me. Like, he feels like he could be married to a family member of mine, and we'd both be too afraid to make the black swimming joke that he made earlier. But now that I know that he's cool with it, I'd be like, yeah, I'll make more black swimming jokes.
What's your love life like?
I'm married.
You're married?
Yeah.
Of course he is.
Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. When you popped the question, was it all like, would you, if you would? If you could?
I just used the 20 questions thing, we got there eventually.
I love it. What does she do?
She's stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mom. How many kids do you have?
2.
That's adorable. How old are they?
My oldest is 5, he's a boy, and then I have a little 2-year-old girl.
Amazing. You love it, huh?
I love it.
It's the best. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's incredible. When you come inside of your wife, do you say anything weird? Do you make a weird face or anything? Do you make a...
He makes this face because that's the only face that men are capable of making. And he's Mormon, so he says, "Oh, frick. Oh, frick. Frick."
Noise. What is a guy like you? Because you seem a little goofy. You seem a little silly. I'd imagine you do something a little wackadoodle dandy.
So we like dirty talk. So I'll
Really? Give us an example of your dirty talk.
Oh, frick me. Oh, frick. Oh, frick, baby. Oh, frick.
Do you?
That's so frickin' good. Oh. Rick Glassman has a joke. I don't know if it's going in a special, so maybe I shouldn't. The general premise is that, like, if you say something through gritted teeth, it's dirty talk. Oh, frick.
You like that penis?
It's a question.
Yeah.
I'll kiss her neck a little bit and work my way up to her ear, and then just...
And then you nut inside of her?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, take us through it nice and slow.
I'll just...
Very romantic.
I'll just tell her, or I guess I'll just ask her. It's like... No. I'm not going to ask her a question. I'm not going to... No, I'll just I'll work my way up to her ear, and then I'll just say, "Baby, I would skip church for you."
Wow. Wow.
That's our dirty
third hour,
That is indeed...
which is now second hour. When I was going to church, there were 3 hours, and now there are only 2 hours. And I've heard rumors that it's soon going to be just 1 hour. So I totally shouldn't have left. I mean, it's not true and all that shit, but I shouldn't have left.
Utah dirty talk. So you're on the Mormon side of things up there, I'm guessing? Very religious? You were raised that way?
Mm-mm.
No? How did you end up finding the Mormons to be your religion of choice?
It's kind of a long story.
I bet it is. I want to hear it. I want to know. I always assume that Mormons, I don't know why, but I always kind of assume that you have to be like born into it and raised into it. I don't often find people that find God finding the like silly alien, the funny one. You guys are like the funny religion. The deeper you look into it, the wilder it gets. Yeah. You've seen Book of Mormon from the creators of South Park?
No. I want to, though.
You should see it.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably hilarious.
I heard it's highly.
And I love musicals. All right, go ahead. Tell us how you found Mormon God.
Well, I mean, I think each and every one of us have a direct line to him, and I think he communicates with us specifically so that we're in the right place at the right time to either help people or not.
Yes. That is funny. It is funny when you hear a grown adult say that they think that God tells them things in their ear and that it's from God. That is funny. I wish this is what everybody did when Mormons started talking. Is like, really? I will say, going back a little bit, Tony keeps referring to God as like, or like Mormon God as the alien God or whatever. I think in like the most, I think I could steel man the idea that Mormon God is an alien, but I don't think that's primarily how Mormons see him. It's at least not in the way that like Scientologists would see Xenu. You know what I mean? It may not matter to a certain degree how Mormons see their God, because at the end of the day, if he's an alien, he's an alien. But I think what Tony's getting at, or at least what Tony, the premises that Tony is operating on here, I'm sure he's not like educated on this, but like on one hand you could say, yeah, totally, the Mormon God is an alien. I'll explain. I'm just giving context. I'm not explaining. Let me just explain. Mormons believe that God, the God of this planet, and is the same as the God of many planets. They think that this God has a lot of other projects going on. We're not his only thing. And the way that we were created by Mormon God is that he has a physical body. He has flesh. He doesn't have blood. He only has flesh, because if he had blood, then he would be immortal, and then he wouldn't be God anymore. So he used to be a mortal human being, and then he was really, really obedient to his God, and so he has earned the right. He's been exalted, and now he gets to be a God, and he gets to have sex with his wife, and she has a body too, and he probably has multiple wives because polygamy is totally fine and dandy in heaven. Okay, a man can be sealed to many wives, but one wife cannot be sealed to many husbands in Mormon heaven. Okay, even the most recent prophet of the Mormon church had a wife who died, and then he remarried a new woman, and she and he were also sealed together, which means that they used the Mormon force. They call it the priesthood, but it's the Mormon force, for those who don't know what it is, to tie their marriage up in a nice little knot that can never be untied. So now when he dies, and then his second wife dies, well, he already died. When his second wife dies, then the three of them will just be a throuple up there. And theoretically, if there are other women who need to be sealed to somebody, he could say, yeah, I'll take them. I'll take all you bitches. Get in my heaven. So I've laid that groundwork. Now for the alien part. A phrase I never thought I would say. So because God lived on a real planet and then died and has a physical body, that means, according to the laws of nature, as the Mormons interpret them, that God has to have a physical body in this universe somewhere. And the scriptures tell us in Doctrine and Covenants, or maybe it's the Pearl of Great Price, that it might also be Doctrine and Covenants. These are encores to the Book of Mormon that Joseph Smith felt like writing. He would be translating the Book of Mormon, and then he would be like, I'm going to tell you where this came from. And then he'd write down the voice of God telling him things, and then he called that Doctrine and Covenants. It's a wild read. God lives on a planet, and the nearest star to that planet is called Kolob. And so, I guess putting all of this together, premise 1 and premise 2 and premise 3, God lives out there in the universe somewhere. God has a physical body. If God is in a physical body in the universe somewhere, then that means that he or we are extraterrestrials. God is an alien. So there's that. Now, I don't remember why I started talking to begin with, so let's jump back in.
BYU was highlighted in my mind there, and it felt like...
Oh yeah, God. He thinks that he thinks that God can speak to him. I can remember a specific time when I thought that God was speaking to me. I'll share that story now. I was about 14, 15, somewhere in there. I was in high school. Maybe I was 16, but I don't think I was 16. And my parents took us to a trip. It was a church trip, and we were in Nauvoo. Now, before we went to Nauvoo, we went to a place called Sharon, Vermont. Sharon is where Joseph Smith was born, and then his family slowly moved to Nauvoo. Now, while I was in Sharon, we went to the birthplace of Joseph Smith. We literally went to the log cabin where Joseph Smith Jr. was born. And in that in that visitor's center where you visit the log cabin, this senior missionary couple had my family sit in a circle, and we all had to promise each other that we would be in the celestial kingdom together. As a 14-year-old boy, I was kind of bullied. It was nice, but against my will. I would have never done this. I was pressured into holding the hands of my siblings and my parents and say, like, I will be with you. I will follow God's commandments. I will make it there. I will fulfill the prophecy. It's so weird to think about now. So if that doesn't fuck you up a little bit as a teenager and into an adulthood, I don't know what else would. If that doesn't manipulate and control your behavior to a certain extent for the rest of your life and make walking away from that church one day extremely confusing, then I don't know what would. But while I'm explaining, I said celestial kingdom there. Celestial kingdom means the top kingdom of heaven. Mormons believe that there are 3 kingdoms of heaven. And then there's a 4th one that's not a kingdom of heaven. It's outer darkness. It's the worst of the worst. It's hell. So there's the celestial kingdom, which is the top. There's the terrestrial kingdom, which is the middle. And there's the telestial kingdom, which is the bottom. The celestial kingdom itself is divided into 3 categories. I should do this. Sorry, everyone. I just realized I could do this. The celestial kingdom itself is divided into 3 categories. The top one is called exaltation, and that's the one that you have to make it to in order to become a god. The only way to become a god in exaltation is to follow God's commandments forever, get baptized by the correct priesthood, which means be baptized by somebody who has God's force, which is a Mormon person, and then get married in the temple and have God's force seal your marriage, because you have to get to exaltation as a married person so that you can have sex. Of course, obviously. So then under that, we don't know. Honestly, we know very little about the other 2 kingdoms. Nothing has ever been said about them. And then terrestrial is if you were a good dude, but you never got baptized and you never chose to get baptized. And then the bottom one is you were kind of a shithead. Shitheads still go to the decent one. You have to be real bad, according to Mormon theology, to go to the worst one. So anyway, I was visiting Sharon, and I had to promise my parents that I would be a good boy. And then we went to Palmyra, which is where Joseph Smith was living when he claims to have seen God. Why did he see God? It's a great question. So, according to one of his accounts, Joseph was trying to pray in private to be forgiven of his sins, and then God and Jesus came upon him and jizzed all over him. No, they came down and told him that he needed to start a new church. It wasn't really starting a new church. It was more restoring an old church. They said Jesus had a great thing going, but then he died and all his apostles died. So you have to restart it. The only way to get back to us, as I've explained before, is that people have to be baptized by the correct church. And then they have to be obedient to that church. But silly us, for almost all of human history, that church hasn't been on earth. And I don't know how that slipped our minds, but we have entirely forgotten that in order for that to be a rule that makes sense and is fair, then we have to actually put that thing down here somewhere. And in all this time, nobody's actually asked us. And so since you're the first person, even though you didn't ask, according to this account, you want to start a new church? Now, the reason I say according to this account is because there are other accounts where Joseph Smith, he wasn't going to the sacred grove to pray for the remission of his sins at all. He was going specifically to ask which of all the churches is true. And the thing that's so confusing about all these accounts is that in one of them, Jesus shows up, and then in another one, Jesus and God as two separate guys show up, and then in another one, it's not Jesus or God, it's just a bunch of angels. And that doesn't at all read as suspicious to me, especially considering the fact that none of this was written down by Joseph Smith until he was really trying to pursue getting a copyright for the Book of Mormon in Canada because he was trying to sell it. And he needed some authority to write a book and sell a book. So he's like, oh, this is crazy. I totally forgot. Like 8 years ago, God told me to write this book. Does that help? And the publishers are like, yeah, that would actually help a lot. Is that true? Can you confirm that? He was like, Scout's honor. Cross my heart, hope to die. So here's the funny thing. So I was in Palmyra. Am I a good storyteller or a terrible storyteller? So I was in Palmyra with my family, and I was in this sacred grove, and I heard a voice in my head that said, I was standing right there when I told Joseph Smith everything. That didn't happen, but I heard it in my head, right? Because sometimes you hear crazy things, especially when you're raised in a culture where that type of behavior is like conditioned into you. I was like 14 years old. I was in the perfect scenario of my life to think 14-year-olds talk to God all the time. In fact, I'm in the place where the most famous example of that occurred in history. And I believe that because my parents told me that it happened and I'm only 14. So obviously God would do it again to me. So until I left the church in 2018, when I was like 22, 23, I walked around believing like I heard God's voice tell me where he spoke to Joseph Smith in the sacred grove. Of course I did. God speaks to people right into their heads, like this guy's saying. That is funny. I can't confirm this, but I heard it from a reliable source, and so I'll share it here because, everything's true on the internet. I heard that in World War I, Hitler was like a messenger. He was a message delivery guy. He was going to the front lines, delivering messages from the generals, going back to the generals. He was coordinating. He was doing shit like that. And he claims that at one point he was about to go down into a trench where people often hid from the heavy artillery that was falling. And he heard a voice in his head saying, don't go down there. It's dangerous. And then soon after, I don't know if he claims to have witnessed the shells fall or what, but soon after, everyone in there died. Now, this is why this is funny to me. It shouldn't be funny, right? I'm talking about Hitler. I'm talking about a whole bunch of people dying in a trench. And then I'm like, here's why that's funny. Mormons, I was taught this. Mormons are taught this. It's an old talk by Elder Bednar. It was the subject of, like, if you go back the last 4 videos of mine, it's one of those. Elder Bednar, current day apostle of the church, is answering the question, how do I know if God is speaking to me or if it's just a voice in my head? Seems like a decent thing to wonder, especially if you're like, hey, so if God is sometimes talking to you, how do you know when it's really him? And how do you know when it's really not him? Well, Elder Bednar says, it doesn't matter. Just treat it like it's always God. God saved Hitler from going down into that trench because it was part of God's plan for Hitler to stay alive, because it was really important, because he thought that Hitler was a good guy. I don't know. I'm just saying that it's a crazy thing to think that, like, God just speaks to you in your head, and laughter is the correct thing to do when somebody tries to tell you that. Let's go.
Like, that was him putting that there because
BYU was highlighted. What do you mean exactly?
like, it was just a thought that came to my brain that was
When did this
highlighted.
happen? After high school?
No, I went through a little atheist phase after high school.
Oh boy.
And then explain to us what you mean by BYU was highlighted. You're an atheist, and then
I found God before this, but yeah, it just came into my mind that that's what he wanted to do, and it was
Just came into my mind that God was standing right there when he spoke to Joseph Smith, and it just came into Hitler's mind that he should not go down into that trench. Now, obviously, all 3 of these things came from God. That's as clear as day. Yeah, that just makes perfect sense to me.
extremely powerful. I could tell it wasn't my own thoughts.
So
it
could
was
I.
just like, this is what I want you to do.
And then you went to BYU? And you finished at BYU?
I didn't. I dropped out.
You dropped out. Okay.
I was
How
sick
did
of that.
God feel about that?
I was
So, and then
Just, you can kind of see, like, he's dealing with the fact that the story really doesn't make sense when you lay it out like this, and then he just has to, like, quickly brush it away. Also, it's a comedy podcast, so, like, he's not going to dwell on that, but it's funny to watch his face for half a second deal with, like, look at this. Yeah,
so,
there it is. He's like, yeah, that is actually ridiculous. You're right.
and then, so you drop out. You didn't finish, much like your work. And then,
Unlike
how
his
do you
work,
find
he's a
is
finished
your wife
carpenter.
Mormon too?
yeah.
Okay, so you've met her at church?
I met her, so I served a mission just like any old little good Mormon.
So you
boy.
really did.
Me
You had the name
too.
tag and the white polo and the black tie, and you're knocking on doors.
Doesn't have to be a black tie. I wore a lot of paisley, personally.
CIA of Jesus.
Okay, sure. Okay, this is how you meet your wife? Paint the picture for us.
Yeah, so I met her.
If he met his wife and they were in the same mission, very naughty. Very, very naughty.
We go to a little training center for a couple weeks before we ship out to all the different locations, and I met her there. And
You met her at the training center. She was. I
That's
didn't
fine.
realize.
I
she
think
was
that's
also a
fine.
missionary there, and we were just
Is that the position that you guys have sex in?
we are masters at the
Exclusively.
missionary position.
Do you only do missionary position? Really? Do you do other positions?
I love how uncomfortable he is. Mormons are famously isn't even the right word, because there aren't real, like, Mormonism in the grand scheme of things is the smallest. It's the smallest thing. There are like 17 million worldwide, and that's just on paper. And the real numbers, like, my wife is a Mormon on paper, right? But she hasn't been in 7+ years, and that's probably, like, on paper is probably a much bigger number. So famously isn't the right word, but so sexually immature is the word that I would use. You are not equipped in the land of Mormonism to have a healthy view of human sexuality. I was taught porn shoulders is a quite a popular normal phrase in the Mormon milieu, And porn shoulders basically means that a girl who is showing too much of this, like if you're showing too much of your skin, then you are walking pornography. That is what I was taught about girls growing up, which is crazy.
With your wife?
Other ones, yeah.
Like what? What other ones? Do you do other positions with your wife?
Other ones, yeah.
Like what? What other ones? Give us an example. Just rattle off.
I love how uncomfortable he is. It's very funny. And like, not like I'm glad that he's uncomfortable. It's just like for the show it works, you know? But like, of course he's like that. Mormons are always like that.
Off some positions for us real quick. No big deal. If you want, I could have Ron White name 75 positions in less than
The lazy dog.
What exactly? Hold on a second. What exactly is the lazy dog, Ron?
That's where you get in the doggy style position, and then both of you at the same time, and that's the important part, fall over. Now you're doing the lazy dog.
I have to try that. I have to try that. My next kid will be made by lazy dog. Oh, just be on my side. Oh, frick. Oh, frick.
Ron White is the coolest guy on planet Earth.
Where did you get your mission assignment? I mean, did you get a Orlando?
He doesn't know that he's referencing the musical, but that's funny.
Fort Lauderdale.
Wow. Look at that.
Not bad. They need some saving there.
Yeah. Dude, so what was that like going into Fort Lauderdale and trying to teach people the way of...
I think Daniel Tosh is from Fort Lauderdale. Not that it matters, but I'm pretty sure he is. I don't know. I think Cam Patterson is from Orlando.
Of aliens and whatnot being a god and all this very, very hilarious religion. But go ahead.
No, it was interesting. And every time I saw a black person, I couldn't tell if they spoke English, Creole, or Spanish. So you just kind of...
Let's stick with that for a second. When you say that, what exactly do you mean? Like you would see one and then...
We talk to people on the streets a bunch, obviously, and like I'd just be like, "Hey, how's it going?" It's like, papale English, you know?
Oh.
Like,
Oh, okay.
I learned the basics.
If I am a white guy living in Utah, so I cannot successfully pull off in a believable way. I don't speak English. No hablo inglés. I mean, I could be like, whatever, but if I looked ethnic enough and I lived outside of Utah and I ever saw missionaries, I would always pretend that I don't speak English. 100% of the time I would be like, whatever he just said. Let's not do this.
Of Creole, just to be able to communicate.
Wow.
A lot of hand gestures.
They didn't speak Creole either. They knew exactly enough to say, I don't speak English, because they did not want to hear about Kolob. And they did not want to hear about Joseph Smith and why it was so important to him to have 33 wives right before he became a master mason and burned down a printing press that was going to expose all of his lies. And then the group of people who are so upset about the printing press killed him. It's so much easier to say, I don't know how to speak English in Creole. You know what I mean? It's just so much easier.
Okay, when I need to.
Okay, and were you able to sign up any of these black people in Fort Lauderdale?
Sign up?
Ron White shaking his head no. I am on the inside also shaking my head no. I don't find it believable. Did you really sell a black guy on being a Mormon?
I'm trying to think.
How many black people are in the Mormon group up there? Anybody?
Not a lot, Ron. I don't know the exact numbers, but it can't be very high. There's a couple of pretty bad things that the Mormon Church actually did to black people, which is probably why it's not the number one thing that they want to join. One of the first things was, Utah wanted to be a slave state. They just weren't part of the United States yet, but they would have been a slave state. And Of course, there are those who say that Joseph Smith was like, I don't know, agnostic on the slavery idea. That was more of a Brigham Young thing. It doesn't matter. Brigham Young claims to have had the same authority that Joseph Smith did. Brigham Young taught that if black people were ever given the priesthood, that's how you know that the church isn't true anymore. That's a pretty wild one. Brigham Young taught that black people were the children of Cain. You know Cain, who killed his brother and then got a curse on his skin? Yeah, Mormons interpret that literally as Cain was black after that, and everyone who came after Cain, who was a descendant of Cain, shared that same curse. And that is why they did not qualify to have the priesthood or go to the temple and get that ceremony, which would allow them to go to the top part of the celestial kingdom. So actually kind of a lot of fucked up shit that the Mormon church did to black people. Another thing that was a little bit more recent was in the 70s. I think it was 72. BYU was going to lose its accreditation because the United States government thought, or whoever is in charge of accreditation, I'm not, whatever, thought that they weren't being fair to their students, that it didn't seem like black students had all the same rights and privileges as the white students. And so they said, if you're not going to give equal share to all the races within your church, then you just don't get to be accredited anymore. And then right around that time, the Mormon prophet was like, wait, God is telling me something right now, actually. Could you just hold that thought? It's a really important one. It's as important as the one that Hitler's going to receive later about staying out of the trench. Actually, Hitler received a long time ago about staying out of the trench, and it's also from God. It's from the exact same guy, and it's important. No, we agree. Black people can have it now. There's a weird timing. I agree. It is weird timing that we just happened to receive that revelation right when our Pride and Joy school was going to lose accreditation. But I promise it's totally just a coincidence. Just like that time that Joseph Smith was about to run out of money and was like, hey, Martin Harris, God just told me that you need to sell your barn because I'm not going to have enough money to to finish the Book of Mormon and to start this church and to let his word move on throughout the world because I'm almost out of money, and you have a farm that hasn't been sold. And so God is telling me right now, totally a coincidence, but he thinks that you should sell that and give me the money. What's weird about that? Not a coincidence at all. And not like the one that I already brought up where Joseph Smith was like, I need to sell this Book of Mormon, but I can't because I don't seem like a very credible author because I wrote a book that just simply put archaeologically did not happen. And the publishers are kind of pushing back on me a little bit. Oh, how did I forget about this? God told me to write this. So, or when Joseph Smith was like, the Book of Mormon was written on gold plates. They were etched into gold plates. And I read those gold plates. And they're like, could we see the gold plates? And he's like, oh, right. Crazy thing happened up with those gold plates, actually. God asked to have them back. I was done reading them. You know how God is with his books. It's like a library system up there. So I was done reading it. And then he was like, I really need that back, obviously. So could I have it back? And I gave it back to him. So I don't have any physical proof that what I did was right. And the few symbols that I did happen to copy are pretty much just made up bullshit of a language that doesn't exist. And it's called Reformed Egyptian, which also doesn't exist. But it is all real. It's just, you wouldn't believe my luck on this thing.
in the Tabernacle Choir or Mormon.
I'm trying to think.
How many black people are in the Mormon group up there? Anybody in the Tabernacle Choir or?
How many times did they answer the door and just go, "Oh, hell no"?
All the ones who didn't think to say, I don't speak English and Creole, said that.
What, you a bill collector, motherfucker? Get the fuck up. All right. Red Band, what do you think about Mormons?
Man, I just like the things they did because they can't have sex. You know, like the shaking the bed thing was a real thing where they go in bed and they have their friend just shake it so they're like rubbing against each other's, you know, that kind of stuff.
You know about this, Henry?
I've heard about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you describe one of the wackiest
Now he just has to downplay how weird Mormonism is, but it's too late. The cat's out of the bag.
things that you had to do sexually to respect your religion before?
So, soaking. Let's talk about it. Obviously, premarital sex. The only thing worse than premarital sex, according to Mormonism, is killing someone. Did you know that? It says that in the Book of Mormon. It's like Alma 44. For those of you who are like, Alma, what the fuck? You know, the Bible has books like Corinthians and Genesis and Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy and Exodus and Joshua and Judges and Ruth and Samuel, Kings, Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. You know, the Bible has books like that. And then Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts and the Romans, Corinthians, Timothy, Galatians, Ephesians, James, Peter, whatever. You know, the Bible has that. I'm kind of impressed how many I remember. I wish I could remember the last book, Revelations. Yeah, so the Book of Mormon has like Alma. So, and Alma teaches one of his sons that the only thing worse than sex is, than having sex when you're not married is killing someone. It's the sin next to murder. Why did I start talking about this? Oh yeah, soaking. So since that's the worst thing that you could do, obviously teenagers spend all their time figuring out how they can kind of have sex, but not really have sex. Everybody knows about the whole like God's whole thing, right? You do anal and then it's not sex, right? Well, the ones that Mormons came up with is quite clever. Aside from like let's just drive down to Vegas, have Elvis marry us really quick. We'll go to Pound Town for like 3.5 minutes and then we'll get the wedding annulled. But the sex that we had, technically, this is where Mormons get really Jewish about it. You know, Jewish are like, well, if I put a wig on my hair. Anyway, so so they would go down to Vegas and they would get married for a night and they would have sex for that night. And then they'd be like, look, the sex that we had technically was while we were married. So we didn't do anything wrong. The other one that they thought of was soaking, which is where you put your penis in obviously the vagina of a girl who wants you to, but neither one of you want to move it. Once it goes in there, it is an entrance only. And you just sit there. And then you could let it go soft and pull it out. That's not sex. Sex is obviously moving, right? You could put it in there and just not move, or you could have a friend just wiggle the bed until both of you come. Now, there's no way that the girl is coming in that. I'm sorry. It's just, it doesn't seem possible to me. But, and whatever. Now, Mormons believe that, you know, God is all-knowing. He's all-wise. He had this plan from the beginning. He's all-powerful. But for some reason, in their minds, when they're in the middle of doing this, they're like, this doesn't count. Boy, oh boy, am I getting a big one over on him, Mr. God. He's not going to care about this. This is not sex. Yeah, soaking. Very funny.
Before you got married, did you cheat a little bit? Did you stick it in a little bit? No? How about the backside? I know you guys a way that the Lord doesn't see, the old beehole in Mormonism, from what I understand. We study these things. On top of mashed potatoes and bacon, he's a butthole specialist, so...
No.
Come on, give us a little something.
You ever hide in the backseat of your car with a couple friends and watch them make out in the front while you're parked? No?
There must
I don't think that's a Mormon thing particularly.
be something. How long were you with your wife before you got married?
It's like 8, 9 months, something like that.
Wow, not that long. So for 8 or 9 months, you guys were kissing, tongue kissing,
We made out.
hand stuff, fingers and hands? No. So you had no idea what this lady's pussy even smelled like. And you're like, I want this forever. And it could have been a disaster.
Forever and ever, yeah.
It could have been a
She's going to have billions of babies in heaven.
fucking BYU. You know what I mean? I'm taking chances, dude. Oh, my God. So nothing with not a hand job, not a dry hump? Nothing with clothes on. Not a fully clothed, but so you can make out and you would get a boner, right, while making out, but you couldn't be like,
Oh, weird. What am I, weird? Of course I get boners. Obviously.
while making out, but you couldn't be like, nothing at all. Nothing. So you would make out and then go to the bathroom and jerk off sometimes?
It was just blue balls the whole, courtship.
Wait.
You can't jerk off. That's not allowed. You think that a church that teaches that premarital sex is the second worst thing you could possibly do is going to be like, but you jerk off in the shower, let it all go down the drain, that's fine. Now, it is, okay, for those of you who are not, maybe there are some of you right now who are watching this who have no affiliation to Mormonism, never been raised Mormon. You just Kill Tony fans for having to click on this video. If there are any of you, welcome. Google, go to Google and type in Boyd, Boyd, space K, space Packer, spelled like the Green Bay Packers, The Little Factory. I had to read that at church at least once a year, but with certain bishops it was more because they were obsessed with how often we were all masturbating. Because if we masturbated, we had to tell the bishop, by the way. I don't know if that's probably not obvious to anyone, but since it's a sin, you can't do it. And if you do it, then you have to talk to clergy, right? So he probably got fed up with how many of us were telling him that we were masturbating and looking at porn. So a couple times a year, we would read The Little Factory. And it's basically like, the little factory is your balls. And if you jerk off a lot, then the factory goes fast. And then it wants to make a lot of stuff for you to jerk off. And then you have to do it more and more and more. So you have to never start. And once you start, it's really hard to slow down, but you can. That's basically it. But read it because it's crazy. But yeah, jerking off is a sin. So definitely and by the way, I don't trust anyone. I don't care what religion you are. I don't trust anyone who is able to, through sheer tyranny of will, not have sex with the person that they are about to marry. I think that means that you're not as attracted to them as you should be to a person that you're about to marry. If you can both withstand the physical urge to have sex with one another, then your marriage is... then you don't like each other enough, is my opinion.
There was blue balls?
Blue balls the whole courtship.
Blue balls.
The whole courtship.
The whole courtship. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
When it
Court
came
shit.
out, was
I
it
remember
curdled or anything? Like, what?
Oh my God. You couldn't even jerk off thinking about her? Is that one of the rules?
No, that's
You can't even drink.
He says that's not one of the rules, but it is one of the rules. In fact, at the risk of being totally a waste of time, because half of me can't even remember where my Book of Mormon is. How long is this cord? Is it going to let me go? It's going to let me go. Here they are. Now, don't be mad. Do not be mad. It's funny that I'm still in frame. I don't know why that's funny to me, but this is funny to me. All right. Now, I'm pretty sure I remember where it says this in my Spanish scriptures. So let me try it. Go to Alma. Alma. It's the same in Spanish. In Spanish, alma means soul, if that matters to anyone. I know it's got to be like, it's in the Alma 40s. Okay, it's not 42. I know that. I might find it. It might have been a waste of time. Something tells me that maybe it was before. Yeah, because now we're in the stories. This might have been a waste of time. I'm sorry, everybody. I've ruined your day. Look at these. Oops. Look at these. I read these. See that? Got little flaps to remember where things are. Not helpful now, obviously, but hey, had them. I had a... Where did that go? That was kind of fun. I had... some Mexican pesos. 200 pesos. And I don't know where they were or why I put them there. They were probably marking the scripture that was the favorite scripture of a Mexican companion or something. But I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Should I pull it up? I feel like now I've dedicated enough time to this that I kind of have to... let me put my mic down for a second. I'm sorry, everybody. Oops. To murder Alma LDS. Alma 39. Let's go to... Oh man, I was close. I gotta hand it to myself there. The religion that I don't want to be a part of, still very much stuck in my head. Alma 39. Sexual sin is an abomination. I'm in the right part. I guess I could have just pulled it up. Decline all. Of course, decline all. Control F. Murder. Where is this? For thou didst, remember, Joseph Smith wrote this. For thou didst not give so much heed unto my words as did thy brother among the people of the Zoramites. Now this is what I have against thee. Thou didst go on unto boasting in thy strength and thy wisdom. And this is not all, my son. Thou didst that which was grievous unto me. For thou didst forsake the ministry and did go over to the land of Siron, among the borders of the Lamanites, after the harlot Isabel. Yea, she did steal away the hearts of many, but this was no excuse for thee, my son. I kind of feel like one day I will have this conversation with my 4-year-old. When he's older, not okay. Thou shouldst have tended to the ministry wherewith thou wast entrusted. Know ye not, my son, that these things are an abomination in the sight of the Lord, yea, most abominable above all sins, save it be shedding of innocent blood. So I said sin next to murder, but the exact words is most abominable above all sins, save it be the shedding of innocent blood or denying the Holy Ghost. So it's tied for second place because apparently those two are the things that are worst. Or I guess best case scenario, third place. All right. Sorry. Back to this.
Coffee.
Huh?
Drink coffee.
Man, Red Band knows all the rules.
No, that's
You couldn't even jerk off thinking about her? Is that one of the rules?
no, that's
You can't even drink coffee.
That's a rule too.
Drink coffee.
Man.
He's pretending like he's like, huh? Coffee? What'd you say? Coffee? Can't figure it out. Dude, it's in the Word of Wisdom. It's like section 130, no, 78, 79. It's in there. He's like, huh? Coffee? Why do you say coffee? Yeah, dude. Obviously, when he's talking about how you can't jerk off, and then he's like, yeah, it's just like coffee. Like, you can't figure out that he's obviously saying, like, it's...
Is that one of the rules?
no, that's
You can't even drink.
It is. Look, man, you're the one who decided to end your atheist phase and go back to this crazy-ass church and then stay there after going to Fort Lauderdale and trying to get black people to join the church. You're the one who did all that shit. It wasn't me, okay? So when you're faced in front of a panel of people who are having like a realistic reaction to what Mormonism is, don't pretend like it's not weird now. You're in it. You're in it now. You can't be like, no, we're totally normal. We jerk off into our coffee all the time.
Coffee.
huh?
Drink coffee.
Man, Red Band knows all the rules.
yeah.
You-
They cut him off too hard. I wanted him to give a real answer about what the view is on coffee. See if he was honest about it.
Teach me, Red.
See, he's pretending like, whoa, now you're saying shit I've never even heard of. Coffee, what is this?
I was getting some dental work done, and they didn't turn the gas up to where I could feel it, and it was just like a I don't know, some kind of dental school in Vegas. I'd broken a tooth, and I told the guy to turn the gas up, and he goes, "There are regulations stating about it." Wow. And I said, "Where'd you go to college?" He goes, "Brigham Young." And I'm like, "Turn it up to Catholic." Never let.
Mormons love shitting on Catholics. The Catholic Church is probably what Mormons see as the number one, like abominable church and religion on planet Earth. They really don't like Catholics.
Mormon, set your buzz level. Never. And here's why. They don't understand fucked up the way you and I do.
This is true. I was a couple months back from my mission, and I was in college, and I was at a party with some buddies, and one of my friend who had always been non-denominational Christian, and relatively, I mean, he drank coffee, he drank a little bit of beer, had a little bit of whatever, but was like, I like Jesus, like a normal Christian would be, and we were playing some games, and he had one Red's Apple Ale. And then 40 minutes went by. It was time to go home. And I was very worried about him, which is kind of funny now. I was like, yo, just leave your car here. I'll drive you home if you need. I don't want you to get into an accident. And he was like, no, I promise I'm fine. And I was like, well, you just had alcohol, so you're probably not fine. He was like, no, I promise I can do it. And I was like, okay, well, I have to drive, like, he only had to go like 2 or 3 miles further than I did. So I was just like, you know what? I'll just stay close by, and if anything looks weird, I'll just call you. I'll be there. And then he drove home just fine, because the Mormons have no concept of what alcohol will do to you.
They're guessing, and they're shitty guessers.
We're the best designated drivers, though.
Just buy a Tesla. You don't. If you're going to a party that other Mormons are going to, it's not going to be that fun of a party.
Out there.
We got Waymos now.
That's
Henry J. Fun times. Great interview.
Amazing.
Interview of the night.
Henry J.
Henry J. Congratulations, Henry. Thank you for joining us. Sign up again.
Amazing.
Come back again. All right. Here we go. Bucket pool number 9.
All right. Well, there it is. So, I guess if you've never watched Kill Tony before and you're just like part of my very small audience, then, there's that. It's a funny way to spend your Monday nights. It used to be family home evening. Now it could be Kill Tony. Still spend a night at home with your friends. Yeah, but that is that. So thanks for watching. I can't believe I turned this into an hour. I didn't mean to. I was trying to be fast. It doesn't matter. I did get up at one point and search the scriptures for a specific verse. So that's on me, I think. But no, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I hope you stick around and watch more shit that I make. Hit the like button. Hit the other buttons. And if you have other things that I should react to that has Mormonism in it, or you just want like an ex-Mormon's take on some comedy, hit it in the comments, and I will talk to you all later. And goodbye. Now, this is the funny part of the video because the camera is off, but you can still hear me.